Good afternoon and good morning. I am aware many of you desire more mod content. However, due to IRL restraints of the mod author, progress has been slow this week. Rest assured, the upcoming weekend will be full of work on the project. In the meantime, I hope you will find the following compilation video as sufficient Dagoth content. This is a compilation of all the Q&As I did on TikTok about a year ago. I look forward to speaking to you all again soon. Please enjoy. A new question from Aidan Adler. Aslar asks, what did you do to the Dwemer, Grayskin? Thank you, Milk Drinker, for your question. I will ignore your remarks regarding our people's curse. A better question is, what did they do to themselves? I was there for that whole ordeal, you know. As Nerevar confronted the Dwemer in the depths of Red Mountain, Kegranak brandishing Wraithguard struck the heart of Lorcan with sunder and keening, and in an instant, all Dwemer disappeared from Nurn into thin air. Aside from that fat crippled one, he was, quote, outside of our reality, end quote. I believe it's far more likely that whatever happened to the Dwemer, it probably had a weight limit. Or maybe he was in a different reality, maybe visiting a private island. I am told that is what experts in science and physics who can't move their legs do now. Thank you, Aslard, for the question. If any other of you mortals have questions, leave them in the comments. A question from Commando Lando. They ask, feelings on Almalexia? Well, Kumdo Lando, my opinion of that wench is the same opinion I share with the rest of the tribunal. Those assholes betrayed my best friend Nerevar so they could achieve godhood, causing Azura to curse our entire people with gray skin. And why? Just to sit around in their capitals and do absolutely nothing for the entirety of Morrowind. But Almalexia's betrayal feels so much different from Vivek and Sotha Sils. That whore was married to Nerevar. And you know what she did? Stole that motherfucker's feet. His fucking feet. Motherfuckers can't even have feet in Morrowind. There's gotta be some sexual backstory to that we all just aren't clued in on. Some shit like, use your own feet for that, I ain't doing it, or something. Anyway, if you mortals have any more questions for me, I will be happy to answer. A question from Jake East. Jake asks, what is Dagoth Ur's favorite and least favorite type of music? Northeast. Were you aware that I have been around longer than music itself? It's a relatively new phenomenon for you mortals. I enjoy the sounds of large bells and chimes we use during many of our rituals. Also, some ash creatures have long trunks that can work as horns. I just thought it would be funny to put a big cock hanging from their faces, but it has had ulterior uses. Now the sounds of trumpets fill Red Mountain, so I guess that was a bonus. I'm sure that's not the kind of answer you were looking for, Southwest, but you mortals have a vastly inferior sense for musical talent. I guess if I were forced to pick a genre from you mortals, I would pick
Of the moon and star, come to me through fire and war.
Greetings and Waz. We have a new question this morning. Gargoyle Werner wants to know, thoughts on Skyrim? Not the game, but the ugly shit show north of Cyrodiil. Thank you for your question, Garboyle Wiener. There are many aspects of that frozen wasteland for me to consider. Like how those Walmart Great Value brand Vikings stole the land from its original inhabitants, the Falmer. Or how they claim to have the tallest mountain when in fact Red Mountain was taller, at least it was before it erupted. Or how the favorite pastime of those illiterate Neanderthals is shouting at the sky and smacking their pronounced caveman eyebrows together until one of them dies. Or maybe you want to know my thoughts on the Civil War? Well, let me ask you this, Gargle on Wiener. Do you take the time out of your day to think about the politics and lives of the ants in your backyard? Do you even know the Queen of the Colony's name? Their whole kingdom exists 30 feet from where you lay your head to sleep, and do you consider their struggles, their stories? I thought as much. The Nords, like all races of man, are really not worth my time. They, like the beast races, exist for Mer to subjugate. And once Akula Khan is born, they will worship the new god, along with all the other races of Nurn. I hope that answers your question, Choking Wiener. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments. Another question from Sammy Fox. Sammy says, probably gonna get hate, but thoughts on furries. What are my thoughts on furries? A furry? What even is a furry? Hold on, let me Google it. Oh my. By Azura. So these are like Khajiits, but, they are more colorful and have large eyes. I see. These are costumes, not actual beast men, and it would appear that only the races of man are wearing them. I'm not sure why anyone would want to dress as the least stealthy skooma addict in all of Tamriel. These costumes are the antithesis to what makes those Khajiits. It's large and bulky, Probably not a great range of motion. Super colorful, so colorful it would light up a dark skooma den. Not ideal for sneaking around and stealing feathers, strings, and small bells. Do these furries also speak in the third person? Well, spanky cocks, I can't say I understand the purpose of these costumes. They are so far removed from the actual beast men of Nirn that it is actually quite amusing. I would say that I prefer man, in a cat suit over man-cat, in a suit. Thank you for your question, Fanny Box. If you mortals have any more questions, please let me hear them. Mr. Moose provides a new question. Mr. Deuce asks, should I hook up with this lusty Argonian maid that works for me? You don't have to hide behind that username. We all know it's you, Crassius. This level of degeneracy and debauchery only matched by Daedric Prince Sanguina himself. It must be you. Another fine example of depravity in the not-so-great House of Halalu. You and all the other yellow hats are exactly what is wrong with Morrowind. But I guess I will answer you. I'm not sure if all you and Waz are aware of Crassius and his infamous book, so allow me to give you an excerpt of a conversation between an Argonian female named Lifts Her Tail and an Imperial named Crantius Colto from the heresy that is the lusty Argonian maid. Act 4, Scene 3, continued. Lifts her tail. Certainly not, kind sir. I am here but to clean your chambers. Crantius. Is that all you have come here for, little one? My chambers? Lifts her tail. I have no idea what it is you imply, master. I am but a poor Argonian maid. Crantius. So you are, my dumpling. And a good one at that? Such strong legs and shapely tail. Lifts her tail. You embarrass me, sir, This is disgusting and appalling. You see, this is what happens when you allow the races of man and beast to have their own autonomy, and to think that this book came from a once proud Dwemer clan. Argonians are good for two things, slave labor and destruction spell test subjects. Thank you for the question, Blister Noose. Please refrain from ever speaking to me again, you disgusting troglodyte. If any other Inwas have questions that do not involve copulation with an Argonian, please post them in the comments. A strange request from G.I. Jobless. G.I. Nobless asks, Daddy Dagoth, will you read us bedtime stories? I've never been asked such a question. However, what kind of god would I be if I didn't care for our homeless veterans? This story is called The Little Game Developer That Could. Once upon a time there was a young boy. His name was Todd. And Todd wanted, more than anything, to make great video games. So one afternoon after his chess club meeting, young Todd went to the big city to meet with the big game devs. Todd knocked on the door, knock, 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 but no one answered. Todd tapped on the window, tap, 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 but the office was silent. So Todd started yelling, "It just works. It just works. It just works." Suddenly the door swings open and an old man screams at the young boy, "Go away, we have no need for a game dev here." So Todd went home that night, cuddling his Wayne Gretzky hockey game case, and went to sleep. The next morning, Todd woke up and returned to the building to try again. He once again knocked on the door, knock, 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 and still no answer. He tapped on the window, tap, 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 and still no reply. So he yelled, 16 times the detail, 16 times the detail, 16 times the detail. The old man returned. "I told you yesterday, boy, we don't need any game devs." So Todd once again returns home. But tonight was different, for he couldn't find his Wayne Gretzky hockey game. And worse yet, he was in such a rush to get to the game studio, he forgot his chessboard at school. Todd, shaken by the events of today, cried himself to sleep. The next morning, he woke up with determination. He was going to sell his idea to this company, and they would have to hire him, no matter what. So Todd returns to the company, and this time he knocks only once. Knock. He taps the window only once. Tap. And he yells only once. "Tell them lies. Tell them sweet little lies." The door opens and the old man says, "Fine, come on in." Todd interviews for the job and lies about everything that qualified him, and then they make him the king of the company. And that was the story of the little game developer that could. Rest now, mortal. It is time to sleep. Do you care if I kiss your forehead? Thank you, mortal, for your question. If you also have a question for Daddy, me, please post it in the comments. Good evening and good morning, mortals. It seems we have quite a few questions lined up. I have been a bit busy recently with this new exercise called jelking. It's doing wonders, I tell you. Anyway, I will try to get to as many of your questions as possible. Our question today is from Glorified Street Urchin. They ask, "O wise and glorious Dagoth, Ur of the 6th house unmourned, why does it burn when I pee?" Thank you, unwise, less than glorious, no house having urchin. I've seen this affliction before. You have contracted a curse from some type of necromantic encounter. You have mere hours to live before your entire body starts to burn. The blood in your veins will begin to boil and expand. Pus will seep out of your eye sockets. You will have a spell of dizziness as well as an uncontrollable urge to kill Terry Davis. Then your skin will slowly fall off in clumps, and you will become a thrall to whoever rose the original undead that infected you. That, or you've got the clap. You should try Jelking Street Merchant. It may help with the pain. Thank you, mortals, for all the questions. I will try to get to as many as possible after I'm done jelking out. I'll be Dagoth 12-inch Ur in no time. Salutations, inferior mortals. Our question today comes from Soap. They ask, Dagoth opinions on the Graybeards. The who? Oh, you are referring to those mute hermits who live in that phallic-adjacent collection of rocks atop the formerly second tallest mountain in Tamriel? The ones who only exist for 2 quests in Skyrim and to give out radial quests for new shouts like Preston Garvey for settlements. Oh, ooga booga, I shout loud at sky and make fire or wind. Oh, we are so mysterious, blah blah blah. Man, what an original concept, Bethesda. A secretive isolationist group of monks who teach the player the secret art of belching with style. Man, what a great way to introduce the gimmick of the game. Almost as good as using VATS on a cockroach in Vault 101 or entering a temple to fly around and collect glitter and pixie dust to earn more space magic. Shampoo, thanks for your question and all, but please don't tell me you're a fan of these archetypes in media and this new style of having some kind of power to go with each game that makes you special. Shouts, VATS, space magic, and guess what? I'm calling it now. Elder Scrolls 6 will have the exact same shit. Bookmark this TikTok and come back in 2028 to tell me I was right, but this is what's going to happen. The Chosen One will meet a secret, nearly wiped out group of blade masters who practice the art of sword singing. You, as the player, will have some innate power allowing you to learn these skills faster, and you will be tasked with rebuilding a brotherhood of sword singers by recruiting random NPCs. I'm telling you, Lotion, that's what it will be. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, the Cumbeards. Yeah, they are pretty lame, to be honest. If they were made into a real faction that had like side quests and interesting members or special weapons or something more than just, here is a word wall, don't use your power, young one, I would probably have enjoyed them better. Thank you, Vaseline, for the question. If any of you other Inwas have questions, please post them in the comments. Our new question today comes from Just R. They ask, you haven't spoken about the dwarves. Jester. It would appear that you struggle with the most basic instructions. I guess it's to be expected from you in Waz. You are of the Hunding, aren't you? Or are you a milk-drinking Nord? It's okay. I can tell. We all can tell. What part of this is the question? What exactly do you want to know about the dwarves? Because you didn't specify on any aspect, I'll tell you this about them. They were highly intelligent mer who, amongst other things, understood the difference between a question and a statement. Thank you for your statement, Brestare. Looking forward to your revision on what exactly you want to know in the comments, so I can ignore it. If any of you other mortals have actual questions, please share them. A question from Scaredy Cat Gaming. Pussyboy Gamer wants to know, what is your opinion on the meteoric rise of the Skooma epidemic? All right, listen in, I will level with you. You know how the American government had a little program called MK Ultra? Well, what if I were to tell you that this recent Skooma outbreak was a planned operation by the Aldmeri Dominion? What if I told you there was a possibility that in order to weaken the Empire's grasp on the citizens, the Altmer targeted the racial stereotypes and the economically disparaged in order to sow the seeds of distrust between the Empire and its people? Quite the coincidence that they so happened to allow the Khajiits into the Dominion just before the rise in skooma overdoses, don't you think? Tamriel's largest exporter of moon sugar happens to join the Altmer. An alliance of racial purists who would rather inbreed for 4 eras than dare mix their genes with any other elves, let alone a cat boy like yourself, seems like something's not adding up, doesn't it? At least when I did it, I gave it to you straight. There was no deception in my motives. Anyway, thank you fucking pussyboy incel for your great question. If any of you other mortals have questions, leave them in the comment section. A question from they ask. Dagoth Ur, should I use a greatsword, battle axe, or warhammer? I'm too dumb to learn magic. Thank you, Bar, for your question. Too dumb to learn magic, you say? Not even able to cast a simple flame spell? You are given extra time on your tests in school, aren't you? An extra 30 minutes, maybe even in an isolated room from your peers. Perhaps allowed an open book when testing. Right. Yeah, I'll agree with you then, Cars. Magic is not for you. You definitely need to look at alternatives. To be honest, I wouldn't recommend any of those weapons for you. If you are too mentally inert to cast even the most basic of flame spells, I doubt your brain could handle the task of trying to wield a weapon, balance, and breathe all at the same time. You are better suited to simple classes like herb picker, finger painter, or American politician, so I would suggest those. But I suppose, if I had to pick a combat skill for you to learn, I would say stealth archery. It is by far the most fitting strategy for someone of your, limited abilities. Thank you for your question, Cars 2. If any of you other Inwas have questions, please let me know in the comments. A question from Blama. They ask, what's your favorite destruction spell? I usually go for one that nukes the whole of Tamriel. What an exciting question, Mama. I am glad to see some of you filthy and Waz have some redeeming qualities. My absolute favorite destruction spell is Testiculus Torsionius. It's a custom spell I crafted using a modified telekinesis spell. Now I know what you are going to say. Oh, Dagoth, that isn't a destruction spell, that's an alteration spell. Shut the fuck up. I don't care what school of magic you Inwas class it as. You filthy outlanders can't even keep spells in the same category on your own. By Azura you all moved every spell that was from mysticism to others and just alt-afford the entire category. So I don't want to hear any bitching or moaning from you Karma about it. Testiculus Torsionius is my spell, and I say it is a destruction spell. Now, I am sure you have probably ascertained what this spell can do using your context clues. It's an extremely effective spell. The only downside to it is that it doesn't work on women. But let's be honest, what are they doing outside of the house to begin with, besides heading to the market to buy the ingredients they need for dinner? Also, it doesn't work on any Argonians. It's extremely disappointing. But if you understand reptile anatomy and what a cloaca is, you could probably have figured that out on your own as well. Another example as to why Argonians are inferior to the races of man and mare. Anyway, thank you for your question, Karma Chameleon. Please leave any other questions in the comments. A different question today. Smarties asks, excuse me, Mr. Dagoth, can you be my Valentine? I've always been fascinated by your mystical and destructive ways. Little green fucking heart emoji. Well, if this isn't the cutest thing I've ever read, not because I'm flattered or anything, but because you assume, for one, I don't already have a Valentine. And secondly, that I would have any interest at all in an outlander, let alone a mortal. Sorry to let you down, farties. But my heart belongs to one girl, and one girl only, and she's the most beautiful orca-dog hybrid thing I've ever seen. She just doesn't know she's my Valentine yet. I haven't had the courage to ask her, or rather she never reads my donations on her stream. But it's okay, Fartsy. She is totally in love with me. She liked one of my videos on Twitter one time, though it was someone's repost. But it still counts. She will be mine. Anyway, Fart McGee, I'm sorry again to curve you. If it's any consolation, I wouldn't mind helping you with some matchmaking. I can infiltrate any mortal's dreams that you desire and start subliminally influencing them to love you. Just DM me their @ and I'll set you up, big dog. Thank you again for your question, Charts. If anyone else has questions, leave them in the doobly-doo. Pandaman Palrance asks, dude, do I go with a short bow or a long bow? Oh, let me guess, Panda Boy, you're going with a stealth archer build. Probably gonna play a femboy wood elf too, aren't you? Man, how original of you. You really are challenging yourself today, it seems. A round hole square peg kind of guy, no doubt? The obvious answer is neither. Learn destruction magic. But if I had to choose a bow for you, I would go with a long bow. That way you can experience what it's like to have a shaft that's above average for the first time in your life. You can also use it to help you reach things on top of the fridge. Just make sure you keep your bowstring waxed and the wood polished. I'm sure that won't be a problem for you. You are an expert in wood polishing, no doubt. Thank you, Bear Boy, for your question. If you have any other questions for me, please let me know in the comments. All right, we're finally getting around to this question. Mr. Seal, without fail, has asked me this question on every post Nerevar has uploaded. So, what could Blister Peel possibly want to know from the great Lord Dagoth Ur, leader of the Six House and Tribe Unmourned? Perhaps how my plans to rebirth Akulakan are going? Maybe he wants to know how I infiltrated the dreams of those on Vardenfell, or maybe a question relating to Elder Scrolls lore in general. Alright, here's the question. Fist Her Deal asks, how do I acquire intercontinental ballistic missiles? Excuse me, What did you possibly hope to gain from asking me this question? What even is an intercontinental ballistic missile? You think this sort of thing is something we have on Nirn? No, rather, something we have on the whole of the Mundus? I don't know, fisting boy, Walmart maybe. What kind of answer did you truly expect? You think I have some kind of deep insight into your reality? I am the Sharmid of the Mundus, not whatever dog shit reality you in Waz are from. What an insult to spam such a dog shit question for 3 weeks straight. Thank you, I guess, for the engagement at least, but come on man, you could think of a better question. I know you can. By Azura. Alright, I'll tell you what, Fisto. Comment a good question on this video and I'll answer it next, before anyone else. I think I am being more than generous with that offer, so take it or leave it. If anyone else has a question that I can actually answer, please also leave them in the comments.